Yo, yo, we are here live in Orange County with the Don of LA Hardcore, Ron D. Core. What's up, brother?
Same old, same old. You know,
Running the shop, huh?
running the shop, selling records.
Nice. So, I just wanted to go into the origins of Ron D. Core before he was a DJ. Where exactly were you born?
Long Beach,
Long Beach?
California.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Like East Long Beach, North Long Beach?
More towards East Long Beach.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that. And high school? Which high school did you go to?
Ocean View High School.
Is that in Long Beach, like East Long
No,
Beach?
actually, Long Beach. I don't remember because I was too young. I maybe a couple years lived there, and after that, I think our family moved to Washington State, and then back to Huntington, actually to Huntington Beach ever since then. So
What year-
Huntington Beach most of my life, but yeah,
What year was that when you moved back to Huntington?
I'm trying to remember. Oh, actually, no. I take that back. I'm forgetting Garden Grove.
Oh, wow.
Because kindergarten was in Garden Grove,
Uh-huh.
and then first grade and up was in Huntington Beach.
Oh, wow.
Sorry, a little bit of a memory lapse there.
And so, like, during high school, like, what were you into? Like, what'd you do?
Oh gosh, high school was a good experiment for me. I was in a lot of things. People might not believe some of the stuff I was into, but I kept different groups of friends during high school.
Uh-huh.
Besides, being into dance music, which I got into in high school, I was also into metal.
Uh-huh.
So I had my metal friends, which I had kept separately from my dance music friends, and
Yeah.
then I even had my goth and new wave friends,
Uh-huh.
and even hate to say it, even some of my jock friends. So I was
Yeah.
still playing sports, so I was kind of balancing all these groups of people. That's just always been my thing. I've always been the social butterfly,
Yeah.
so to speak, at school. So I really had friends. I was friends with everybody except for, I think maybe like the punk kids were the only people I didn't hang out with. I didn't
Yeah.
like punk rock.
Because, like, I remember growing up, the kids that were the most different were those kids that wore the striped socks or the checkered, like the punk crowd.
Yep.
And back then, like, this is in the 80s, back then the punk crowd was really, like, nobody really knew what they were up to. Like, they were
Nope.
kind of, like, always in the back
Well, they were the
somewhere.
outcasts.
Yeah.
I mean, back then. But
Back
that's
then they were,
by
yeah.
design. They were the outcasts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, with the buttons and the patches and everything, yeah.
All that symbolism, right?
Yeah. But yeah, so that was in high school. And did you ever DJ in high school? Like, were you?
The DJing didn't start until I think like towards the end of my senior year. Was when because I was 18. Yeah, I was 18 when I first got started into DJing. It was more of a sudden kind of introduction into DJing. It wasn't like I was gradually getting into it. It was just really fell on my lap. Just because I was into collecting records a lot. So throughout high school, I was buying a lot of music. I mean, I would go to record stores, every weekend or even through weekdays. And
Which ones? Like, which record
the
stores?
stores I would go to, Music Market in Costa Mesa, Middle Earth Records and Downey, Zed
like, I never heard
Records
of
in
those,
Long
yeah.
Beach. And then for the dance stuff, of course, back then it was like Prime Cuts and mainly Prime Cuts and Aaron's was where I was
Oh, wow.
getting my first dance records.
Yeah.
And even then, mostly was Aaron's
Uh-huh.
on Melrose. But then Prime Cuts was the other one.
Yeah, that's a trip because I really didn't go to Aaron's until I got into reggae. And so I would go there for the reggae 45s. But, like, I never ever went there for anything else but that. It's weird.
Most people that I talked to didn't even know they had a good dance selection. They
Yeah.
always had great dance records. That's why it was easy picking because
Yeah.
no one else knew. So like for myself and my longtime friend Steve Kool-Aid, him and I, we would do road trips.
Uh-huh.
Hit that place first and then go hit Prime
Oh,
Cuts.
yeah.
Because Prime Cuts would have 10 copies of one record, you have no problem getting it. But
Yeah.
you go to like Aaron's and they had all the weird off-beat kind of stuff. Like that's probably where I got almost all my cold cut earlier releases were all from Aaron's.
Oh, nice.
They're just they blended them in with all the indie stuff. It's made it harder for people who wanted to find that stuff, but you know what you're looking for, you'll find
Yeah,
it.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, like, I do remember doing that, just going to all the different shops. Because Prime Cuts would always surprise me. Like, Prime Cuts used to have a bargain bin in the back where a lot of the jungle would wind up at because they couldn't move it. So a lot
Meaning
of
the
times,
expensive stuff today.
yeah,
right?
I know, yeah. But, like, I do remember Prime Cuts being that spot that I would go to find things that for some reason weren't anywhere else. It was weird. So that's in high school. But, like, was there a DJ that got you inspired to DJ or?
Back then, it's kind of weird. It wasn't really, there was no inspiration. It was more like a convenience thing. Steve, DJ Kool-Aid, him and I were, technically, he's my oldest friend. So we've been going to school and group together since the 4th grade.
So you went to school with Kool-Aid?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
From elementary to middle school.
Oh, wow.
To high school and even to college. We had the same subjects in college.
Which college?
Orange Coast College.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. The idea was to go for the arts program, go to fine art and graphic art, drafting. Those are sort of the subjects I was into. But yeah, Steve, it was him. He's the one. I give him credit. He technically has maybe a head start ahead of me in the rave scene. And so he kind of he knew somebody that was just getting into it. We're talking like 85, 86.
Oh wow, that's super early.
That's kind of, he got me. He just said, "Hey, a friend of mine's doing a party." Didn't even know what it was. It's just some party in a warehouse. It's random. This is before we even knew what a warehouse party was. Just just do what you and I always do. Bring your records. Just grab a bunch. Yeah. Just grab all your random stuff, and then I'll bring my records. And they said they're gonna just show us how to use the mixer and turntables when we get there. Yeah. So it was the first DJ gig was no experience. Just learning even how to use the faders, how to use the EQ, how to use the volume. I didn't have a setup. I only had one turntable, so it was really just we're basically a jukebox, just kind of just play your music like we play at home. Yeah. Just make sure there's no dead air. Yeah. That's kind of what he told us. It doesn't matter if you guys, you don't have to mix. Just slap it in and then just throw it on and slide it over, and that's kind of what we did. Wow. That's cool. Wow. But that's the one booking, my first booking that got me into it. I owe it all to Steve. Yeah. And just for that random warehouse party in the city of Vernon, just to be in that warehouse, I thought it was kind of cool. This is a fun scene. Almost immediately the day after, I was wanted to start buying dance records or more dance records. Yeah. To add to my collection. Actually wanted to buy another turntable, and then I wanted to learn. I wanted to learn properly how to mix. Yeah. Yeah. Just from that one party made me want to do all that stuff. That's good. Yep. Yeah. That's where the addiction started. Yeah. So did you buy your own turntables, or were your parents helping out, or? All my stuff, I did everything on my own. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of how when I grew up. If one of the nice things, I was lucky because I've been working since I was I was 8, 9 years old. Oh, wow. Because I would go to the job site with my dad during the summer, with him and my grandfather. They're in construction, so my brother and I would just either half the time ride our bikes, and the other half time we're learning, and whatever work we did, they paid us cash at the end of the week. Yeah. So I was making, getting paychecks, as a minor. Yeah. And so that was kind of my income that led, all up until my teenage years, I was doing construction, and then I got regular, retail jobs and stuff in between. But all that money I was making, that was the money was used to facilitate, that I saved up to buy all the records. Yeah, the records, and to buy the second turntable, because the turntables I had, the first one, I think one had no pitch control, and then the second one I bought, I knew I needed to get one with one, so I found another one. It's actually old Techniques, belt drive, had pitch control. So learning how to mix with one that has no pitch control and one that does, is tricky. What did you use for your very first slip mat? Was it paper or a T-shirt or anything like that, or? I didn't have a slip mat. I just used the rubber mats that came with the turntables. It was that, and it was even Vorget. I think all of us can relate. Talking about me and you, my first mixer was a Radio Shack mixer. I think it was ATIS is pronounced ATUS ATIS. Yeah. So even using a Radio Shack mixer to go with your your with janky the turntables for the to switch from line to phono. Yes, with the switch with the switches, but then with the crossfader that would be so hard, you're forcing it over to mix. It wasn't today where they go back and forth. It's you're really forcing it across. And the struggle was real, man. Yeah. So after that first underground warehouse thing you did, did you just start playing pretty much frequently after that, or did it? Right after that party, since the guy we hooked up with, not many people remember him, but he went by, his name's Randy Moore, but he did a lot of the, really some of the earliest raves were him. He did Alice's House, which was one of the more famous one. He was the first one I remember to do a rave at the Shrine Auditorium. So he was the one we hooked up with. It was his party. And so obviously he knew he needed a DJ, so he would DJ his own party, and then Steve, and then me. So basically the three of us would cover the whole night, taking turns. Yeah. So, really, it's immediately after that party, it's okay, I'm doing another party. So he started booking shows, and then every time he did a show, it was automatic. It wasn't you're bringing any guest DJs, it was always Steve, me, and Randy. We were the three guys. Yeah. So that was our job full time. We never worked for any other crews, because back then you didn't work for other crews. So it was just
Yeah.
like there was his crew, and I think there was like maybe 2 or 3 other crews during the earliest years of the scene. That was really all the competition.
And like, were most of the shows you did in Los Angeles, or were they also in like Orange County?
I'd say 90% of it was in
Up there,
LA.
huh? Yeah.
LA, and really zeroing in on like the downtown district, like 7th Street, Santa Fe, like where the 10 freeway is.
Yeah.
That's
Like the art district.
Alameda.
Yeah.
That's really the birth of the scene, because it was always someone's loft. Someone's like either living in the space or was using it as an artist space.
Yeah.
So a lot was in those lofts and like and those kind of locations, or hence the term break-ins. There was a lot of those as well back
Yeah.
then. Like, abandoned buildings, were very convenient.
Yeah. So, like back in the day, me and Tiny, Oscar the Grouch's brother, and a few other people like Frank, Mr. Fish, or Frank C. We started doing this club in Costa Mesa called X House. Like, were you aware when we were
I
doing
remember
that?
X House,
Yeah.
yep.
Did you ever play there? Did we book you?
Was it at a Chinese restaurant?
No, it was at this big, huge club venue where the DJ booth area was up, like above the crowd, like almost like the area behind you. So like we were up. And there was,
Placentia. I think I
so,
know the
yeah.
spot. It
Yeah.
looks like a warehouse, but like when you get inside, it's a club.
Right.
And the booth is really high up.
Yeah, it's really high up. Yeah, and
I
like
remember
there's
that
like
spot.
there's
Yes, I
there's
played
art.
there.
Yeah.
Not for your night, but I played there with Mike McFadden.
Oh, okay.
He was like the resident at that club. That was a cool club, actually.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, and like I remember the guy Randy from Eurofunk was the one who helped us do it.
That's cool. See, I didn't know
Yeah.
that about you. You actually did Costa Mesa
Yeah,
shows
yeah.
here. That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, like I was just like the DJ there, so I would just show up. But like, I think Frank and Tiny were the ones who were doing a lot of the setting up and getting getting everything ready. Like most of my DJ life, I've been fortunate enough to just know the people who did all that hard work to set everything up, and I just show up with my records.
Isn't that the way it's supposed to be,
Yeah.
right? Like, we don't bring our own sound.
Yeah.
Who does that?
Yeah, I know.
Unless you're doing weddings, right? But
Yeah.
that's a whole nother topic.
Did you ever do weddings? Like, did you ever?
Yes. As I say, it's not the most proud part of my life, but I learned a lot from it.
Yeah.
Because in the earlier years, like I was telling you, there's only like 4 or 5 crews
Uh-huh.
in the early years. So your bookings were maybe once or twice, once a month.
Yeah.
If you're lucky, usually one every, or maybe one every 2 months.
Yeah.
So the facility in between, since I was collecting records and buying music, it made sense to look for club gigs. I was looking for, I was getting different club gigs at different bars, and then in Costa Mesa also.
Would you play techno or pop?
I would play. Was it the mixture back then? Yeah. On that note, the mixture, it was I'm trying to think of the '80s. It was techno, house, acid, mixed with like funk, soul,
Yeah.
R&B, new wave. If anything had a dance mix,
Yeah.
it got blended in. So it was kind of like a mashup before they were calling it mashup.
Uh-huh.
That's just because we mixed all those elements, and even hip hop, obviously, we mixed all those together. So that was sort of like really the template,
Yeah,
for all
just
the
trying
music.
to please every little.
Oh yeah, and back then you kind of had to, because you had to play some songs people knew, but then you could sneak in some of the underground stuff, because even then the underground stuff wasn't always as easy to sneak in. Because obviously you learn early on that if you play too much underground stuff, people start leaving.
Yeah.
Oh wait, there's no vocals.
Yeah.
There's no singing.
Yeah.
So you had to kind of balance with all that music. And that carried over to the clubs. That was what enabled me to get club gigs. Because they don't want you coming in playing underground stuff. They go, it was too weird for them, so you mixed in with all the popular stuff with it. Playing the Parliament or George Clinton kind of stuff. And basically the things that make the dance floor fill up. So yeah, that's what kind of also propelled me into the DJ thing for weddings. I think I may have done some friends' weddings at first to kind of get into it.
Yeah.
It was interesting. Then I had to think about buying a rig. So I saved up,
Like
bought speakers.
lights and stuff like that?
Yeah, I bought
Yeah.
lights. I bought speakers. I even bought my own film projector to kind of show film stuff. And then we had to go be my own roadie.
Yeah.
Pack all my gear into my little Volkswagen Squareback, and then it fit the speakers, the coffin. Well, I would do it solo. I would have no helpers. Just show up, set it all up, do the whole night, pack up, and then go.
Yeah.
Not the funnest.
Yeah.
But you learn a lot.
I used to do weddings and quinceañeras and high school parties, and like in my city we used to also throw ditching parties where people would leave class.
I remember those.
Yeah.
Oh my God, the ditch parties.
Yes.
Oh God.
And then I the one that stands out was the one where the mom came home and we all scattered, and everybody was jumping over the back fence, and I just remember seeing kids and girls and guys, everybody's jumping over the fence, and I was standing there because we had our equipment, and I was like, oh,
It's like, hi, Mom.
yeah. So she came home and she was just blown away, like just by the amount of organization, and she was just like not mad but blown away.
Well, probably just impressed. Like, oh, wait,
Yeah, like,
my
wow.
kid put this together?
Yeah.
Like, it might be a business for you later on in life,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, like those days were pretty insane.
Those are fun. I was lucky to play a few of those too.
Yeah.
I was always mesmerized by how many people they attracted. Like,
Yeah.
to think that's a lot of kids ditching school. Like, how many schools are wondering, like, oh, where are the kids at?
Yeah.
They're at this
Yeah,
party.
because there was like at least 100 to 200 per
Yeah,
edition party. Yeah,
that's impressive. I mean,
Yeah.
you're lucky to get that at a club night sometimes.
Yeah.
Let alone school day, right?
Yeah.
You know, man, that's...
So now going back into the rave stuff, I remember the way that you used to DJ. You would do like a lot of long spin backs and a lot of stuff that was trippy to hear, because like a lot of times the music just kept, like people would mix and transition from one song to another, but I felt that you were the only one who, I guess in a way, took chances and just did stuff that was not typical for a DJ to do.
like random stuff.
Yeah, like was that kind of like your approach?
By design.
Yeah.
I was always, my mindset was always to, no matter what kind of music you're into, say if you're playing all techno, I would never do an all techno set, because I don't want to be pinned into that one genre,
Yeah.
hardcore, whatever it may be. It was always fun to move different kinds of sounds in there, like bringing in hip hop, changing it up, bringing in some like a more melodic trancey element, or bringing a little bit of a funk element to it. Doing that, and even like accent scratching. I learned how to, just to do the basics, to kind of, if it's, just little accent scratches, or even
Yeah.
the back spins, or hitting the stop button, doing a slow spin back. I try to think of different ways to kind of entertain, maybe every 3 or 4 songs, do something different, kind of keep people like entertained. Same
Yeah.
time, you don't want to kill the dance floor, but at the same time you want to show them, okay, this DJ, he knows what he's doing, he has
Yeah.
skill, he's keeping us interested.
Yeah.
And so was always my mindset. I always wanted to be that guy that sort of took in a journey and mixed it all up. And
Yeah.
and you're right, a lot of it was experimenting. I mean, it
Yeah.
didn't always work out. Sometimes the tricks failed.
Yeah.
But the thing is, if you could come back and do something amazing on top of the mess up,
Yeah.
people always forgave you.
Yeah. Yeah.
They still loved you.
Yeah. No, yeah, because like I do remember back then, like a lot of people would just mix, but like you were the ones that you were one of the few that would go a little bit beyond and just do, because like I remember you would spin records and make them speed up super fast and then stop or do something like a
Yep.
like very unexpected. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the whole point.
Yeah.
That get your attention? Or-
Yeah. And so once you got started doing like, being known for your DJ skills, then you open up your shop like in 1994.
94. Yep.
94.
Yeah, exactly. Now, well, how that came about, the record store thing, not many people know the story, but before I was everything about doing the shop, I was working at DMC, working for Larry. I was there for a couple of years. This is around the same time I met my wife. She was, back then I don't think I was actually in between it, didn't have a car, so she was driving me to work a few days a week. And I remember her dad, coolest dude ever. This guy was asking why you drive so far to go open to do a record store, work at the record store. I know you love the music, but why don't you just open one in Orange County? Is there one here you can work closer?
Yeah.
Once he finally I told him, no, there's nothing in Orange County. Well, open up your own then. So why bother?
Yeah.
He was the one that gave me the idea. So
Yeah.
I mean, immediately we ran with it, and once we put the funds together and got enough, sort of like nerve to do it, we
Yeah.
ended up doing it. But that's the time too when I was kind of not happy with my boss. I didn't think Larry was the best boss to work for. He was hard
Larry,
to work for.
Yeah, like I do remember Larry being Larry and just,
He's a little off-putting as
Yeah.
a person, right? He
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, like I think he was good at running the shop, but like person to person, I don't know. Yeah.
He was not a people person.
Yeah, no.
His wife was. Barbara was. If she
Yeah.
ran the store, it would still be there. I thought she was the better half of the two.
It was like the same thing with Beat Non-Stop. Like Nina was really good
gosh,
with
Nina
people.
Mark.
Yeah,
Yep.
like she was really great with people. The owner of Street Sounds was also cool, like friendly and
Yep.
open, his name was Frank.
Kind of weird how that all worked out. Right, with some partnerships clicked and some
Yeah.
and some didn't. But
Yeah.
that's in a nutshell. That's how it happened. I mean, it really just materialized so quickly.
Yeah.
Once you realize, okay, how much does it cost to put a business together? And to get it going. It became like getting the money together. Once that came together, then it's like, okay, now we got to fill it. That's at that time, I had so many records. I had put a bunch of my records into the pot, and our business partner did, and then I think we actually bought a bunch from Steve Kool-Aid. He didn't want, so I bought a chunk of his collection. DJ Dan. So we had this we opened with like 3 or 4 collections of records, and a little bit of new stuff. That's all we needed. I mean, we really filled the whole store with just
how
all
big
of our
was the
excess.
store? Like how big was it?
Probably the same size space right now.
Wow.
Pretty close to
Pretty
maybe
huge.
like 1,600 feet square feet.
Yeah.
It was a really old, just like an old beat up space. Used to be a hair salon at one time. Of course, it was probably kind of fitting because we were next to a liquor store. Which obviously is convenient.
Yeah.
And then in the same parking lot we had an old dive bar, and then an old theater that that hosted the animation festival movies all the time.
Oh, nice.
So it was a really cool. It had its potholes in the parking lot. It was like sort of like half paved, half not paved, and
was there like a lot of foot traffic and random people checking?
that's the thing. There's no foot traffic in that center, except for the few drunks that would stumble in, from the bar, like, what is this? I don't know what you're doing here, but it was all us. We had to do, back in the 90s. You remember how it was? We made flyers. We treated our store like we treated a rave.
Yeah.
We were making flyers. We were doing stickers, shirts, all the merch. And what that also helped too, because Helen and I were actually doing. We kind of had a store in a sense before the store, because we actually had Funny Farm, the weekly in Laguna, which we were doing a booth at every Friday night. The booth consisted of our shirts, our t-shirts, stickers, hats, mixtapes, whatever the merch we had. That's we were selling, and so that merch was also kind of like it translated into the business because we kind of already had the brand built. So it went from Dr. Freecloud's designs, which was the catalog, and the booth at the parties, to Dr. Freecloud's mixing lab, the store. So it's, if anything, it just kind of all fell into place. It was almost seamless the way we moved from a portable store to a full-on store.
Yeah. And why Dr. Freeclouds? Like, what is that? Like, what's the origin of that name? Because I noticed when I drove in, it said record store, like not Dr. Freeclouds, which I thought was smart.
Yep.
Because if someone saw Dr. Freeclouds, they'd be like, I wonder what kind of doctor that is.
Was that a chiropractor?
Yeah.
Well, okay, the Dr. Freecloud's name is very random. It's actually a concept from school when I was in college. It was for my marketing class. Besides doing art, I was also doing marketing classes as my minor. So obviously, I was thinking business in the long run, to do some kind of business stuff with my art. So we had to create like a product. We had to create like a logo, and you had to call out your products you're going to be selling. I kind of just created something. I thought like, well, maybe I could use this for my stuff I'm doing now. So I kind of created a logo, which I hand drew. And so I made the logo, and then came to the name. The name was more like it was random. I was just trying to think of like, it's almost like going through a thesaurus or
Thesaurus, yeah.
Yeah. I was looking through that to kind of get ideas. I'm looking at words, and just you almost want to find just random words and see if they go together. Not like one long name, because that's too hard.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, just words are separate, and it just randomly clicked. It was just one of those like. The doctor part came later. It was actually, at first, it was just called Freeclouds. Just the word free, and then clouds. And then the doctor came later. But it all stemmed from a project from my marketing class.
Oh, wow. In college.
In college, at OCC, yeah. So I owe my college education to my store today.
Yeah, that's cool. So that's the Dr. Free. Yeah, so like, with the store, I remember you guys also moved into this outdoor shopping plaza type of location, remember?
Oh, you're talking about our second Costa Mesa location. That was actually at the Lab, Anti-Mall.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, like I just recently passed by there, and I think they opened up almost like a copycat outdoor shopping plaza right across the street. Yeah.
The one across the street is called the Camp, which is the same owner.
Yeah. Okay.
That was more their outdoor version of It's funny how they call themselves the Anti-Mall. They're not really an anti-mall. They are a mall. They're a hipster mall.
Yeah.
It's got it's just really expensive but cool, hip and chic merch.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how the whole thing was built.
Oakley, all that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, that was, granted, it was great being in that center. I loved being there, but it was a really, almost a detrimental experiment, because that experiment almost killed our business.
It was just the wrong demographic.
We almost went under. Yeah, well, because the guy, because he came in, he headhunted us. Came to our store. He liked our concept. He liked our brand. He's all, I have a space open. The Tower Records is moving out. I would like to have you guys move in and take the space. And granted, the space he wanted us to move into was maybe see, the space we were in at the first spot was at 1,500 square feet. This was more like close to 5,000 square feet.
Wow, that's huge.
There's no way we could fill it logistically.
Yeah.
So I saw that. Like, there's no way. I told the guy, that's too big of a space. I said, okay, well, I have a smaller space I can give you guys. So half the size. You know, it's like, you've been in that space. It's like, it must have been 2,500 square feet. It was ridiculous.
Huge, yeah.
Too big. So we still took it, you know, because he worked with us and we went in there and he made it very enticing. You know, because you're flattered, for one, when certain people ask you to move into a center, it's more of a flattering thing. So, of course, you're wowed by the flat. Oh, wow, he really looks up to us, and this is a great move. We're going to do great. You know, so my experiment almost destroyed the business, but in the 3 years we stayed there, at least we learned a lot. We met new people. We learned how to deal with more of a sophisticated customer as opposed to our sort of street-level kid customers. So we were dealing with much older people. You know, you're talking about people that come from Newport, that have money, that can afford to buy whatever they want.
Yeah.
They don't flinch the prices.
At that time, did you guys have regular music in stock, like rock and pop?
Not yet.
No.
I think the furthest we branched out was more, we really did a lot of CD business, which is kind of weird to think back then because we were mostly a vinyl store. So the CDs took off. And it was mostly those like trance mix CDs, techno mix CDs, and a lot of lounge, chill, ambient. That. Those were the big things.
Ubiquity, all those,
Exactly. We sold a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
So that was kind of that clientele was different. We still sold
Mushroom
our
jazz.
Exactly. Mark Farina. So that was our big push for that center. But so we had to kind of put a lot of our personal taste on the back burner. Those weren't selling as well. Those were being discounted. And then we weren't doing any used then. But it was still it changed everything. But we weren't making enough in sales. We were doing some of our best business there. Still, I can't repeat how much we were paying per month. It's like,
jeez. Yeah, I could imagine. Yeah,
it's 4 to 5 times more than we're paying now currently.
Jeez.
It was insane. But hey, you know, you live and you learn, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to take an experiment to see if it works. But But after that, moving to Fountain Valley, which I give Helen credit for. We were trying to stay in Costa Mesa.
Yeah.
So my wife Helen, she ventured out further out of our comfort zone. Came over to Huntington, Fountain Valley, and it just clicked. Fountain Valley actually ended up being, in my opinion, the best move ever. Yeah. This city has been amazing for our business, and even today to still be the only true record store, or the only one that's existing. Yeah. There's no other record stores in the city of Fountain Valley, so it's kind of a nice thing to have credit for.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like you guys do have like super clean, nice collection, and actually last week I visited some of the shops in Santa Ana. One of them is price gouging people for horrible condition vinyl, like used hip hop and used reggae, but it's so beat up, and they're charging $15 for stuff that should just be $3. You know, because it's so
condition
beat up.
Alone, rare or not, it knocks down the price. I feel the same way.
Yeah, and like 2 of the shops were kind of like in these weird little back rooms, where you have to go upstairs, like into the shop. Yeah, and both of the shops were just overpriced, and I was like, I just felt that it was wrong, and I could tell that like they had tons of records, like too many,
Which that's telling you that they're not moving product.
Yeah.
It's sitting. If the thing is dead product, is not going to make any money, right? Yeah. You got to know how to move it.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you're a hustler in that respect as well.
Yeah, sometimes it's off and on with me. Yeah. Yeah. But so now when during your DJ career, when do you because I know you put a lot of time into the store now. So do you feel like you put your DJ stuff on the back burner? Is it just something that is now secondary to this shop?
In a nutshell, yeah. I consider it secondary. I mean, I still love playing. Don't get me wrong. I love going out and doing gigs, but the store is full time. It feels better, dedicating my life, at least most of my energy to this business. Yeah, it helps because when you're here more often and you're focusing on projects focusing on the products and really caring about little things, that has been greatly helpful to do that. It's helped our business actually flourish. And then I figure, with DJing, I'm not going to depend on DJing. I learned early on, never quit your day job. Yeah. There's very few of us will make it to the point where we can live off our DJing. So I always kept that day job mentality. And then this is the bread and butter. This is our home base. Yeah. And then even when I stopped promoting myself, I stopped, dealing with that rat race. Because there's a certain point, you understand from experience that becoming an older DJ is tougher. You're competing with younger DJs. The technology's changing. And so, we're not as well looked at, or they don't want to hire us
Yeah.
as much. So I understood
Yeah.
that. So going back maybe 10, 15 years, I kind of stopped promoting myself as a DJ. Figure people know where to find me. They want
Yeah.
me. They need me to play a flashback set, or they want to have me, come in to play what I'm playing currently. People, they know me. They know where to find me.
Yeah.
We're on the internet. We always tell people. I tell them, I go, you don't really need to call me. You can just come to the store. I'm here
Yeah.
7 days a week.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to come now, you can approach me and let's talk about the booking.
Yeah.
So and that's kind of worked. I mean, sure, I get maybe one booking a month on average. Before pandemic.
Yeah.
But of course
I know that the pandemic really just
Yeah.
shook the whole
it did.
DJ booking.
Well, and all of us were desperate to play, right?
Yeah.
Streaming I tried the streaming once, by the way. I didn't feel it.
Yeah, me either. Like it was really.
I was hungry to play, but I'm like,
Yeah.
it feels weird.
It
Cold,
did feel weird. Yeah.
right? Just
yeah.
felt cold.
Like it just felt like invisible. Like I was DJing for a ghost or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's because why we do it is because we want the crowd to feed off our music.
Yeah.
Are you guys having a good time? You enjoying?
Yeah.
I don't want to be DJing and looking over like, oh, that guy says he likes that song. I go, oh, he wants to know what label it's on. Hold on, let me answer him, right?
Oh man.
It's weird.
It's just not like how we're used to it. Yeah.
And it kind of goes hand in hand with the whole format thing. Because I know, the 2000s were like that whole format war going on between, digital and CD.
Yeah. USB came in.
Yeah, same kind of thing. So to kind of give into perspective, that almost killed most of the stores like ourselves. We were like the last of our kind. So that almost wiped out everybody at one swoop. But then you fast forward, and it's almost like I think the pandemic kind of changed everything again. So like all this thing was digital. But then during the pandemic, even though we were lucky to stay open, we were getting digital DJs going back to vinyl coming in, realizing because you have that same feeling. Like, I feel bored at home. I can't do my live stream with a thumb drive. I'm not doing anything. I'm just standing there.
Yeah.
So you look kind of like a fool doing a set like that.
Yeah.
If they see me going through records and selecting and showing the record, okay, now there's something going on here. So we got a lot of digital DJs, maybe that were vinyl DJs, came back, buying records to do their streams. And then we had some people that never played vinyl that just wanted to, teach themselves like, I've always been digital, but I'm going to get into vinyl now.
Yeah.
And DJ Sneak is probably a good example of one of them. He was digital for years. He went back to vinyl, did a full switch. So the pandemic, if anything, created a sort of like a frenzy for vinyl again. People were buying the records for just collecting, or also too, because they go, well, I'm going to dust my turntables off, put the CDJs away, I'm going to play vinyl again. So there's a glimmer of hope that came out of this whole thing when the dust settled. It got people back into records.
Yeah, that's good.
Finally, I got people I told them, hey, Ron, you never gave up. I go, come on. Because I knew it was the best format.
Yeah.
I have no need to switch.
It does sound good, because like the way that I explained it to my girl is that you just hear more frequency, the song sounds fuller.
It does.
But of course, only if you're listening like that. If you don't listen the way we do, then you won't pick it up.
You have to really listen, right? I always tell people, close your eyes and just put the perspective and feel the music, feel the sub, feel the lows. Vinyl has lows that you will not replicate in CD or digital. You just can't.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you just can't do that.
It gets way down there.
It is, and that's why you feel it under your feet. You feel your feet sort of tickle.
Yeah.
You want that feeling.
Yeah.
If you don't, if I'm at a warehouse, I don't want to hear some really high-pitched sound like it hurts your ears for one.
Yeah.
Because those are the sounds that kill DJs' ears in the first place.
Yeah.
Granted, knock on wood,
Yeah.
I still have my hearing.
Yeah.
It's like, I've never worn ear protection. But it's because I always kept the highs down. It's like, if it's vinyl, it's natural.
Yeah.
It sounds better.
So let's wrap up the interview. Let me see if there's anything else I wanted to talk to you about. I guess some of your favorite events from the past. Just one that stands out, or even just a after hours or any kind of thing.
Well, there's one. It really narrows down to a crew. You'll know who I'm talking about when I say it. The Savage House people did some of my best favorite parties. Aphrodite's Temple.
Oh yeah.
The Shiva's Erotic Banquet.
Yeah.
And even their the guy whose name is Necro. He was a part of their team. He moved to Arizona. He did my favorite Arizona party called Cyber Slam. And he was part of that crew. Just the things those guys were doing, they were so far ahead of their time. And they were way ahead of Pasquale. If only they would have stayed in the scene, they would be the top dog now, because they were doing visuals and decorations, and you felt like it's a theme.
Yeah, and it was more about a visual experience.
Oh yeah.
Also, yeah.
I think you may have been at some of the same parties or played the same parties. to see multiple rooms, like a room where it's just nothing but like TVs laying on the ground.
Oh, yeah.
And people watching like, loops of cartoons, or
Yeah.
the room I remember at the same party had a lumberjack with a chainsaw or whatever, carving sculptures with a chainsaw. I'm like, okay, that's interesting. And then another room had someone put like little those creams from McDonald's, glued them all over the ceiling and floor. And it just the weirdest stuff.
Yeah.
And then and the party ended up being in the basement where an old roller rink was at. And not to throw, oh wait, oh yeah. Then also I remember that party had the topless girls with their plates of fruit, handing out fruit. They're like all they had that sort of Roman sort of feel to it, and it was cool.
It was like a underworld vibe going on.
Kind of like a rave orgy if you think about it, right? It was just fun.
Yeah.
You didn't want to leave the party. I mean, because most of us DJs had back then we were double booked, triple booked. You want to go do your other gigs. Like, I didn't want to leave.
Yeah.
It's like, this party's fun.
Yeah.
And I won't put my records away. I'm gonna have hang out and just check all the rooms. It was that entertaining. It was cool.
I remember in the Bay Area in San Francisco, they were like, what I liked about their events was that they had like multiple rooms, and one of the room was an ambient room where they really had somebody playing ambient, and they had a bunch of like those beanbag little things on the ground.
Cozy chairs.
Yeah, like cozy chair and blankets and pillows everywhere, and people really got into the ambient. Would just melt down.
See, they need to bring some of that stuff back, even down to the old day glow paint rooms. Remember those rooms where people could get creative, do graffiti or splash paint on things. We're missing the creative part of our scene. I love that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I have to give Pasquale credit. At least when you have that kind of money, you can afford to bring those things back.
Yeah.
Sure, they're very expensive rooms now.
Yeah.
When we were doing those rooms, we had to like go buy paints at like at Aaron's or some of the craft stores, and we had to do our own painting, or you get raver kids that want to.
Or the styrofoam pieces and paint them and
build your own props,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, build your own props.
And I remember times, even as a DJ, if it's a party you're playing for, they tell you, no, we all have to meet in the warehouse. Everybody has to pitch in. We're all getting paintbrushes. Everyone's going to help make the props.
Yeah.
So you weren't just DJing; you had to come and help make the props. So it was, but it was kind of cool. It made it kind of more personal, and you're kind of crafting, and I don't know, it was fun.
Yeah, that's cool. All right, well, I guess it's about time for you to get in the mix. Thank you so much for sharing your story. Once again, Ron Decor from Dr. Freeclouds. And that's about it, man. Thank you.